if you don't understand about why something was hurtful, it's like, ask questions. We immediately get into being defensive or having to be like, that wasn't hurtful, that's not how I meant it. It doesn't really matter how you meant it. That's how it came across, right? The impact was different than your intent, and like, you have to own that. How do you apologize effectively? Yeah, man, this is such a thing. First of all, I'd say there's a whole episode around apologizing on Brené Brown's podcast, and I highly recommend that you look that up. It's great. There's a lot of like really useful stuff in there, but I think it's so important that there's this weird ego thing about apologizing that if we like admit that we're wrong, we give up ground, or there's this thing that the heart of apologizing to somebody else is that like they were hurt or upset by something that you did or something that you said. And I think it's really important to be like, I'm sorry that thing that I did was hurtful. Not I'm sorry that you were hurt by it. I'm sorry that it was hurtful. And like the impact that I had, I think, to be able to just be honest with somebody and own up to the fact that like, my intent was not to cause that harm and that hurt, and I'm sorry that I did. I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry that I did that thing and that it was hurtful or that it was offensive. And just like own that. Because a lot of that, like it's subjective, right? Whether something is hurtful or not is subjective. And you might not think it's hurtful or harmful, but the truth is that like you're in this situation because it did have that impact. I think it's important to just like own up to that. And it always comes back to this thing, is like, do you want to be right and look good and sort of like save face? Or do you want to just like reach out and be like, hey, this relationship between the two of us is important to me. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry that I did that thing. And I think like owning, acknowledging it, asking questions, if you don't understand about why something was hurtful, it's like, ask questions. We immediately get into being defensive or having to be like, that wasn't hurtful, that's not how I meant it. It doesn't really matter how you meant it. That's how it came across, right? The impact was different than your intent. And like, you have to own that. That's part of human dynamics of interacting with other people, is that you're gonna do that. If you have romantic relationships and working relationships, it's like, you are going to hurt other people. You're going to offend other people. You're gonna do things that cause harm that you did not intend. And it's just like, immediately to kind of like own up to those things and make amends and have a conversation, ask questions like, I want to understand, like, tell me why that's hurtful for you. It's a really vulnerable place to be, but I think in the service of healthy, more like just stronger relationships with other people, I think that has to be an element that's there. That's like, we understand at some point that we may cause harm that's unintended to each other, and to be able to own that and be like, I'm sorry that I did that thing. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or sign up for my mailing list, The Culture Drop, and get these emails in your inbox every Tuesday morning, once a week with a blog. It's great stuff. Follow our social media accounts. We put a lot of free content about making more awesome teams and just being better leaders and better organizations.